I am about to address some things as the supervisor. There will be no comments. There will be anything that will be me addressing you guys to tell you what's going on.
Weird. It's so weird. It really is like the whole country's hypnotized. And I just think this is a perfect storm of things.
Tiffany Henyard, the first female mayor of Dolton, Illinois, finds herself at the center of a growing political storm. One that has not only shaken her leadership, but also turned the town's political scene into a high-stakes drama. When Henyard took office in 2021, she was celebrated as a trailblazer, praised for her vision of change and progress. However, her tenure has quickly unraveled, shifting from one of hope to controversy, marred by allegations of intimidation, questionable hiring practices, and abuse of power. The situation took a darker turn as residents began voicing concerns, only to be met with fears of retaliation. A climate of mistrust has settled over Dolton, intensifying after high-profile figures like Joe Rogan publicly criticized Henyard's leadership, catapulting the scandal onto the national stage. Once a beacon of promise, Henyard's administration is now accused of silencing dissent instead of fostering open dialogue. The core values of public service, transparency, accountability, and community engagement, seem to have been replaced by a culture of fear. Dolton's residents are left questioning whether Henyard is truly committed to serving them or merely protecting her own power. As legal and public scrutiny mount, the future of Henyard's political career hangs in the balance. Can she weather the storm and restore trust, or will this scandal mark the end of her leadership? With the stakes higher than ever, all eyes are on Dolton, waiting for the next chapter to unfold.
Late appearance at the Dolton Village Board meeting this evening. That meeting was being held at the Park District building since Village Hall cannot legally.
The situation in Dolton, Illinois has spiraled into a tense and troubling crisis, leaving residents feeling increasingly voiceless under the very leadership meant to represent them. This growing sense of disenfranchisement reached a breaking point when a recent Village Hall meeting was abruptly canceled due to a lack of quorum, deepening frustration and distrust within the community. At the center of this turmoil is Mayor Tiffany Henyard, whose leadership style has raised serious concerns about transparency, accountability, and a disregard for democratic principles. The controversy first emerged when two separate meetings were scheduled in different locations, causing widespread confusion and frustration among residents. As tensions escalated, accusations of Henyard using intimidation tactics to silence critics took center stage. Many locals claim she has fostered a culture of fear, making residents hesitant to voice concerns about her leadership. Imagine living in a town where expressing legitimate grievances against your local government could lead to retaliation or personal scrutiny. For many in Dolton, this has become an unsettling reality. Citizens who have spoken out against Henyard's administration report feeling targeted, pressured, and, in some cases, politically oppressed. The oppressive atmosphere has made daily life feel suffocating, as fear of reprisal looms over those who dare challenge the mayor's authority. As dissatisfaction grows, public protests and demonstrations have become more common, with residents demanding answers and accountability. What was once viewed as a promising tenure of progress and empowerment has now devolved into a leadership accused of prioritizing control over the well-being and voices of the very people it was meant to serve. This issue transcends party lines and politics. It's about fundamental accountability. Are elected officials genuinely acting in the best interest of their community, or are they exploiting fear to maintain power? The controversy gained national traction when podcaster Joe Rogan, known for his blunt and unapologetic commentary, publicly criticized Henyard's alleged abuses of power. His remarks sent shockwaves through Dolton, turning a local crisis into a nationwide discussion on the dangers of unchecked political authority. With millions tuning into Rogan's platform, his condemnation amplified the concerns of Dolton's residents, shedding light on the broader issue of political intimidation and the misuse of public office. His statements resonated far beyond the town, sparking renewed conversations about the importance of holding leaders accountable for their actions. Despite the national backlash, Henyard's administration continues to fuel controversy. According to residents, fear of retaliation remains a serious concern, with political opposition allegedly met with threats and intimidation. In a town where challenging leadership could lead to dire consequences, the people of Dolton face an alarming erosion of their right to free speech. As accusations of intimidation grow, many residents feel increasingly vulnerable when speaking out. This climate of fear has created a deep divide within the community, leaving people uncertain about the future of their town and their ability to trust local government again. The fear of retaliation has cast a long shadow over daily life in Dolton, leaving residents to wonder if their voices will ever truly be heard again. Dolton, Illinois is facing a deepening political crisis, leaving residents struggling to trust their leaders or engage in meaningful discourse. This situation extends beyond accusations against Mayor Tiffany Henyard. It represents a fundamental threat to democratic governance. At the heart of the controversy lies a disturbing reality: local officials allegedly retaliating against residents simply for voicing opposition. Public officials are elected to serve their communities, yet Henyard's leadership has been characterized by allegations of intimidation, fear-mongering, and an abuse of power aimed at maintaining control. The idea that those in power could resort to such tactics is one of the most unsettling aspects of this growing scandal. As the community grapples with the fallout from Henyard's administration, the demand for accountability has never been more urgent. Many residents now fear that even speaking out could result in retaliation, an alarming indication of the level of distrust that has taken hold in Dolton. What began as a local political dispute has evolved into a national discussion about the dangers of unchecked power, the erosion of civil liberties, and the need for public officials to remain accountable. Ongoing investigations into Henyard's actions have fueled hope for justice, yet the uncertainty remains. The key question looms: how far will Henyard go to protect her position, and can Dolton's residents ever regain trust in their government? The crisis has been further complicated by legal matters. A recent court ruling, which declined to hold Henyard in contempt for failing to comply with legal orders, has intensified scrutiny on her administration. Many see this as a warning sign. Failure to abide by legal obligations could lead to even greater consequences. The ruling has only widened the divide between Henyard's administration and the frustrated residents of Dolton, adding more fuel to the fire. As tensions rise, public outrage has grown. Many Dolton residents openly express their dissatisfaction, feeling that the chaotic political environment Henyard has fostered is not just an inconvenience but a symptom of deeper governmental dysfunction. The disillusionment is so widespread that some have likened her leadership style to that of a Hollywood villain, further underscoring the public's frustration. Henyard's leadership, once seen as a beacon of progress, is now viewed as a desperate attempt to cling to power. The erosion of trust in Dolton's government has reached a critical point, prompting an urgent call for change. Residents are tired of living in fear and are demanding transparency, accountability, and leadership that prioritizes the community over personal ambition. In conclusion, what started as a local political dispute has escalated into a national conversation about corruption, civil liberties, and the abuse of power. Henyard's leadership has left Dolton's residents fearful and distrustful, sparking widespread calls for reform. With investigations ongoing, the town faces an uncertain future. Will this scandal mark the downfall of Henyard's administration, or will it be the catalyst for much-needed political change? As if the controversy wasn't already damaging enough, Henyard's latest decision has further alarmed the community. Her choice to hire Brinley, a lawyer with a highly questionable history. Brinley is no stranger to high-profile cases, having previously represented disgraced R&B singer R. Kelly. His involvement in such controversial legal battles has raised serious concerns about Henyard's judgment, leaving residents questioning whether her leadership is truly in their best interest or simply another calculated move to shield herself from accountability. Dolton now finds itself at a crossroads. The town's political landscape is in turmoil, and the demand for change has never been louder. Whether Henyard can weather the storm or whether her leadership will collapse under the weight of scandal remains to be seen.